name is Joan Gillman, and I'm a lower and middle school science teacher at the Browning School in New York City. I attended a very interesting high school called the Center for Open Education. And I really loved the school because you could work at your own rate. You could take the classes that you enjoyed the most, but as long as you took the number of classes you needed to graduate, I was able to complete my high school education in 3 years. What I loved about the school is that they had a community service requirement for graduation. So I decided to volunteer in the lower school and organize games in the playground, tutor in math, teach a little recorder, and in addition I was teaching swimming at the local JCC, and I was a substitute ballet teacher at my local ballet school. As a result of those experiences, I said, hey, teaching seems like the right profession for me, and that really provided me with my career choice. Well, in the playground, we would set up a game of wiffle ball, we'd have a game of kickball, things like that, and the school really appreciated the fact that I incorporated all of the students into the games, regardless of their size and abilities, so they liked that inclusiveness. I really felt this passion for working with students, and I decided I'm going to pursue education. The big break, I think, would be once I graduated from Felician College, where I had actually graduated summa cum laude, which is great. I had a degree from K to 8, and then I took my master's from K to 12 in the hearing impaired. I think my first break came when I started my actual teaching career at a school in the South Bronx called St. Angela Merici. Gave me my first taste of what it would be like to be a full-time teacher. There I was working with 5th graders, teaching English and religion and a few other subjects. Though I must admit, the first question I was ever asked as an educator quite surprised me, because here I am, fresh out of school, ready to change the world, and the first thing I was asked was, oh, Miss Gillman, are you staying for the whole year? And it made me realize these poor children were having not very much security in their lives. It seems teachers were coming and going, but of course, I stayed for the whole year. I think one of the crowning achievements was back a few years ago when I was teaching at the Calhoun School. I was awarded the Erhie Thompson Teacher of the Year Award, and I was chosen out of all of my colleagues, and I felt this was such a great honor. It made me realize that I was greatly appreciated as an educator. At the school itself, I was teaching 5th and 6th grade science. I ran the student government through grade 8. I was teaching at different conferences representing the school, and it made me realize that, oh yes, I am appreciated as an educator, and people realize the contributions I'm making to the lives of the students that I am guiding. I have a number of personal achievements. I mean, I can go way back to when I was 15 years old. I got a job playing piano professionally for ballet classes, and I walked into this studio having never seen a ballet class before in my life. What did I know from ballet? My brother and I were competitive swimmers, lifting weights, doing all kinds of exercise, but the teacher there was wonderful, and she instilled this love of the dance not only in her students, but her little lonely pianist in the corner. And before I knew it, a year or so later, saying, oh, can I try? And she said, of course. So I started taking ballet, and within 10 months, I'm up in point, and before I know it, I'm already performing. So that was one of my achievements that I like to think of, making such quick progress in ballet. Another achievement I would say is when I started taking violin quite late in my life, in my 50s. I had switched schools to the Calhoun School, and they had something very special there. They actually gave free string lessons to the teachers and staff. So my first year there, I said, well, how in the world am I going to take a new instrument? I'm new in the school, I'm just learning their whole procedures. Second year, I said, what the heck, I'll take violin. So I took violin in a group lesson with a cellist, violist, and all that. And somehow, I guess because of my music background, I took to violin like a duck takes to water, and within 6 to 8 weeks, I'm thrown into the orchestra at school. And I have to admit, that was quite an emotional experience for me, that first rehearsal, because here I am playing violin, and suddenly I realize, oh my goodness, I'm actually playing with an orchestra, and I feel tears start to well up in my eyes. It was really quite an emotional experience. But that was just the beginning. Within 3.5 years, I find myself playing with the Bergen Philharmonic Orchestra. And interesting note is this was the orchestra my mother used to take me to as a child, never dreaming I'd be part of that. A year after that, the violist in the Bergen Philharmonic was also the orchestra conductor for the North Jersey Symphony, and he invited me to join the North Jersey Symphony. At the end of that year, the flutist who plays in Bergen Philharmonic and North Jersey Symphony said, oh, by the way, we need violinists for the August Symphony. I said, oh, of course, I'll join. So I wound up suddenly in 3 orchestras that are professional, never dreaming this would happen, having begun violin so late in life. Just this past month, I had the opportunity to play in this vocal arts collaborative where you had singers and master's program putting on a stage performance of the Magic Flute. And this was my first time playing in a full-length orchestra, a full-length opera, 32 pages of music. I must admit it was exhausting, but the singers were phenomenal. The conductor was just lovely, and it's something I'm hoping I can do again next year. It's hard to make a determination which is my favorite. I have to say, since I've studied piano since I was very young, I'm more accomplished in piano. I can do a lot more with that instrument than I can do with the violin just because of the amount of years and experience. I love playing piano. I hope one day that my violin playing will match my piano playing, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I have to say that my personal inspirations are my parents. My mother was the most wonderful parent ever. She totally encouraged me in my endeavors. She would be there as a cheering team, whether it be a piano recital, a swim meet, but she was there to encourage me. If something didn't work out the way I'd like it, she'd be there as a comfort. I mean, she was such a warm, lovely human being whom I miss dearly. Though I must admit, my mother up in heaven is probably looking down on me saying, Joan, you're just doing too much. My other inspiration would be my dad. My dad really taught me the importance of hard work. My dad being a CPA, as you know, once tax season came, he would be putting in sometimes 7-day work days. He'd be in the office all day, would come home and continue working. So he really taught me the importance of hard work, responsibility. One of the things I'd like to add about my mother is that she very much loved classical music. And from a very young age, she would take my brother and myself to concerts, to vocal recitals, to the opera. So she really gave me early on this appreciation and love of classical music. I hope to leave behind the legacy of being an inspiration to others. I am hoping as a teacher that my students will come away feeling so inspired by what I'm teaching that once they go home, they're going to want to look up more information on the topics we're studying. I'm also hoping that the inspiration that I bring forth will help my students to become better adults, those knowledgeable, since I teach science, knowledgeable about the way the world works, so they can be better stewards of our environment, make wise decisions, and make a difference in the world as they progress in their lives. A few years ago, I felt very honored when the NSTA, that's the National Science Teaching Association, selected my article, Straw Rockets Are Out of This World, to be published in their magazine called Science and Children. A few years later, that same article was selected to be in a brand new book published by NSTA called Bringing STEM to the Elementary Classroom. If you open up the book, on page 283, here is my article. My one piece of advice would be to not give up so easily. We're living at a time where children seem to want instant gratification and not realizing that sometimes it takes hard work and dedication to achieve the goals that you want to meet. So I would say, have this feeling of stick-to-itness. Don't get discouraged early, because if you keep trying, eventually and hopefully you will meet the goals that you've set for yourself. I would like to be remembered as a caring individual, one who has really tried their best to make a difference in this world. I'm hoping as a caring person that wherever I go, I will make the lives of others better. For example, I've been playing classical piano and now violin concerts for the residents at a nursing home for 19 and a half years. My presence there, I hope, lifts their spirits, makes their day feel better. So, as a caring individual, I hope I can bring this love to everyone I meet. I have this philosophy, and I've told this to my students: I love everyone until they prove me wrong. We're living at a time when there's just too much bigotry, too much hatred, and I am trying my best as a caring individual to change the world that way, to make it a better place, so that when I do leave the earth, that people will remember me as a caring individual and one that has made a difference in the world.